Rand Paul had been very good in terms of explaining to people the libertarian point of view, to explain to people the importance of individual liberty, the importance of the Bill of Rights. We don't have a candidate that understands that. Ted Cruz says he does, and I don't believe that he does, because I've seen him move in too many ways, changing his statement. He used to say that he supported Ed Snowden as an important whistleblower. Now he thinks he's a traitor, implies he should be executed. And of course, his advisor, Woolsey, came out and said that. James Woolsey, who is his advisor, somebody who was a Clinton administration appointee to the CIA, somebody who is a leader in many neocon groups, has called for the execution of Ed Snowden, and he is a close advisor to Ted Cruz. So if you look at his advisors, as we pointed out, this is a Kurt Nemo story going back to February, the men behind Ted Cruz, neocons, and a CIA propagandist. The way the New American put it, Ted Cruz's closest counselors are neocons. I would say maybe his closet counselors are neocons. So he pulls these guys in as his closest advisors, keeping them under the carpet while he publicly trashes their policies. While he publicly trashes quote-unquote neocons, he brings in the leaders of the neocons. Okay? And that's the way he is on every issue. As Kurt Nemo summed up back in February, he said, Ted Cruz is not even remotely a libertarian. He is a neocon masquerading as a champion of liberty. If nominated and elected, he will continue the forever war agenda. It was initiated by the Bush regime, a regime that he was part of, folks, he and his wife. And he will further expand the high-tech surveillance police state, because he's doing that to his supporters right now. He profiles his supporters to a level of detail that nobody has ever done before. And then he tells them precisely what he knows they want to hear. Okay? And that's what he's going to do if he becomes president. Now, there's another closet issue that kind of bears, I think, on the fact that Ben Carson endorsed Donald Trump today. And this was not too long ago. This was back in about a month ago, about February 19th, this came out. As one of the debates was happening, Cruz and Carson held a secret meeting about Ted Cruz's dirty tricks in a closet. And the Daily Beast had a lot of fun with this, of course, because they're a Democrat publication. It said 2 grown men running for president met in a storage closet last night. The two huddled in the unusual venue for nearly 20 to 25 minutes as Secret Service stood outside, according to a Republican operative who witnessed the strange scene. This was Ted Cruz trying to explain to Ben Carson why they lied about him in Iowa, in the Iowa caucus. I mean, everybody knows the story, except that most people don't know the true story about the time sequence that was there. You see, not only did they say that Ben Carson was dropping out in the caucuses, what they said afterwards was, well, who knew? I mean, there was this CNN article that came out, they tweeted about it, and it really wasn't clear, so, you know, we were just mistaken after they had been doing that for an hour. In reality, the tweet that they were referring to that they used to propagate this lie to stab Ben Carson in the back in Iowa, where he had the best chance to get off the ground, they squashed him before he got off the ground, that was about 20 minutes before the caucuses started. And it was immediately tweeted out by the CNN reporter who did it. He said, and oh, by the way, yeah, he is going to Florida. He's not sticking around. But he made it clear that he's going back, although he's going back to his home, he is not dropping out of the race no matter what the outcome is. And those came out virtually simultaneously 20 minutes before the caucus began. And then the Ted Cruz people who want to tell us that they are the face of God to America. See, that's the other thing that concerns me about him, and that is the public display of piety. And, of course, there's a lot of articles that are linked at the top of the Drudge Report about this, how they believe that he is the one who is anointed, that God has spoken to him through the Holy Spirit, telling them that he is going to be the next president of the United States. And then I saw this article on the Daily Mail, and I thought at first maybe it was about Ted Cruz. A Christian prophet has his buttocks mauled by a lion after running toward a pride to prove the Lord's power over animals during a South African safari. Maybe Ted Cruz is about to get his buttocks mauled in this next election on Tuesday. In this particular case, this is literally what happens, and this is why, as Christians, we need to, when we start thinking that we're getting guidance from God, we need to kind of check and see if that little voice that we hear isn't our pride telling us something. In this particular case, they say a church leader had his buttocks mauled by a lion after running toward a pride. How's that for irony? A little bit of pride there. And a bid to prove the Lord's power over animals. He's said to have fallen into a trance, start speaking in tongues before charging at a pride of lions, feeding on an impala. He said as he sprinted toward them, the lions immediately viewed him as prey, and they zeroed in on him. Realizing his mistake, he turned his back and ran back toward the car, but not before one of the lions clamped down on his buttocks. And looking back on this, looking back on the lion pride, looking back on his pride, and how his prayers turned him into prey, he said, "I do not know what came over me. I thought the Lord wanted to use me to show his power over animals. Is it not that we were given dominion over all the creatures of the earth?" Well, take a look at Genesis 3, Pastor, and you'll understand what happened with the fall. And I would guess when you look at these articles at the top of the Drudge Report that maybe Ted Cruz is looking at what's going on. He's saying, is this, was I not anointed and given power to have dominion over America? It's like, maybe not, Ted. Maybe not. Maybe it's not your time. Maybe you're misreading that. Maybe that's your own interpretation.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own, air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war. Pathogens added to the food and water, and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex.
Rand Paul had been very good in terms of explaining to people the libertarian point of view, to explain to people the importance of individual liberty, the importance of the Bill of Rights. We don't have a candidate that understands that. Ted Cruz says he does, and I don't believe that he does, because I've seen him move in too many ways, changing his statement. He used to say that he supported Ed Snowden as an important whistleblower. Now he thinks he's a traitor, implies he should be executed. And of course, his advisor, Woolsey, came out and said that. James Woolsey, who is his advisor, somebody who was a Clinton administration appointee to the CIA, somebody who is a leader in many neocon groups, has called for the execution of Ed Snowden, and he is a close advisor to Ted Cruz. So if you look at his advisors, as we pointed out,